Welcome to the Elevator Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Madden. I've been an amazing 35 years in the elevator industry, and now I'm ready to pay my knowledge forward. Let's dive right in. Hello there, my fellow elevator entrepreneurs. Today, I'm going to dive into a story that was a little bit challenging, a lot challenging, where I essentially lost almost $1 million in my business and was not going to give up. I'm going to give you a little background. I started a Madden Elevator company, me and my wife in the basement, no money, a dream, built a plan, grew the business to multi-million dollars, and we kept growing and selling really good work. Then I had a scenario where we were selling a lot of work, and I thought I had the right systems and I thought I had the right people in place. And what I found out was there was a combination of things that happened. I had a salesperson that was selling stuff below the margin that we needed to have in order to cover all the expenses. So unfortunately, I didn't have the right systems in place to make sure that they weren't dropping margins below the standard margin line. They were actually adjusting the labor rates on their own. It was 6 months later before I caught it. And we had all this different kind of work, several millions of dollars, a lot of new construction. And the reason we got into new construction is I had a really good friend and a support mechanism that had came to work for our company that had been in construction his whole life. He was very strong, knew the industry. I did construction, but I didn't know a ton about construction back in the day. But this guy, he knew it inside and out. So I felt comfortable and confident. I'm like, if John's here, I know for sure we're going to be good. We're going to have a good plan. So on top of the fact that my salesperson was selling it for under margin by changing rates on the back end, and John unfortunately got sick, we were dealing with some jobs that were falling behind because the contractor was falling behind, and they wanted us to step up and work overtime to try to get things done in a short time frame. So those three things led to some really tough challenges. Some of it was I had to borrow more money, which was costing me money because my contractor quit paying me. They said we were behind in our plan. And we were behind in our plan because of the building. And although my superintendent had cancer, I wasn't going to do anything to not support him. So I let him work as long as he could work. We brought in some other support to help him, and that cost money too. So at the end of the day, my goal was to do nothing more than to make sure that I took care of my clients, that I did what I said I was going to do, even if it cost me a ton of money. And it did. We had several jobs that went bad. We didn't have enough people to get on them. Sometimes we put people on them that weren't the right people, and we knew it was going to take them longer, but we had to do something. And it was like it all come crashing down at once. Having to go out and get more financing. I already had my house put up, for collateral as well as our land and everything we owned. But I was like, I'm not going to lose. I'm not going to give up. And everyone kept telling me, you really should go claim bankruptcy. And I'm like, nope, I will figure it out. I'm going to pay all my vendors back. So very lucky that I have a lot of friends in the industry, and a lot of vendors were really flexible and helped tremendously. So I had to step back. I hired an outside consultant. I had him come in and say, help me build a plan to solve this. We worked closely together and we built a strategy. It was going to be about 1.5 year strategy. And we built the plan. It meant going to the banks and getting more money. It meant looking at things differently and tightening things up, resetting some people and getting the right people in the right seats, and some tough decisions through that entire process. But I knew it had to be done for our company and for all our employees in the business and their families. So we made the adjustments, we made the changes, we fought through that entire scenario, and I lost $1 million in 2016. We started rebuilding from there, and we knew it was going to take a while. So we rebuilt 17, 18. We started making profit in 19, actually paid back that $1 million over 17 and 18. And 19, we finally got whole and made money. And 20 and 21, we significantly grew and made a lot more money. So 19, 20, 21 were really solid, great years. And 22 was actually the year we ended up selling. We planned on growing. We had a plan to grow to be over $10 million. And we had a really solid strategy, but somebody came after us very aggressively. We had our plan in place and we had 3 years of solid growth financials. At that time, I was paying myself about $250,000 a year and we were growing tremendously. What I'm telling in this whole story is don't ever give up. Things happen, life happens, challenges happen. You can fight through it and you might have to bring in some outside resources, but build a plan, work the plan, be cognizant that you have to work through that plan and it may be tough and there's going to be some tough decisions as elevator entrepreneurs and owners and leaders of businesses. Sometimes some of those decisions aren't easy. As you work through it, you will learn those things were necessary and don't ever second guess it. The vendors were really gracious. I called them and said, listen, I'm going to pay you. I'm not going to go bankrupt. I just need some help and I need some support. And every one of my vendors worked with me. I created payment plans for big things. I worked with some of them on doing chunks on quarterly bases. We built a spreadsheet. We started working through what we can do. We worked through every vendor. I called every vendor personally and said, I need help. Here's what's going on. I have a plan. I just need some financial help and support. And luckily, the banks were very helpful. I think I had like $750,000 line of credit, and we were able to pay that down and pay that off over time. So it was a big learning lesson to not let things get out of hand. One other thing that kind of happened back then is life just kind of gets away from you. One of the reasons I'm in a log home now is because I lost my sister at 40 years old. It was like, what is going on? And I stepped back and asked my wife, I know the time is not perfect, but I've always wanted a log home. If I can make this work, would you do it? And we lived in an RV for almost a year while the home was being built. So you can find a way to make things happen, but realize that you got to fight through things sometimes and you can do it. I'm here to help and support in any way I can. And I think it's important to tell that story because a lot of people don't know all the challenges we went through because me and my wife kept that all inside. So keep fighting the battle out there. I'm here to help and support all I can. And I'm hoping that these kind of stories resonate and feel like you can fight through your own battles. Thank you for listening to the Elevator Entrepreneur Podcast. Until next time, stay safe out there, and I will continue to empower my fellow elevator entrepreneurs.